The outcome of this is actually making the military better.
I think it is better. I think it's better.
Why
because people feel they can be open about who they are, and they can really throw themselves totally into what you want to achieve with your force.
The Navy!
Talk about being open. The Royal Navy now allows sailors to march in gay pride parades in uniform, and gay couples are even eligible for married military housing.
We aren't the Brits. We're not the Europeans. We're not the Swedes.
Presidential candidate Duncan Hunter is the ranking member of the House Armed Services Committee. He argues that gays do not belong in the U.S. military because American troops need to be hardened warriors, unlike soldiers in the 15 NATO countries where gays serve openly.
The Fallujahs of the world, the Ramatis of the world that require heavy combat and lots of firefighting capability, those are the places the Americans go. The other countries tend to go to the so-called peacekeeper zones, where they have fewer firefights and less contact with the enemy. And the European nations show little will to send large contingents of their military people into dangerous places.
I think American troops are very brave, and I think British troops are very brave, but we do it in a little bit of probably a quieter way generally. You know, we don't have to go and shave our heads off and shake hands very hard. You can still kill someone without having to do that.
But there is a culture of conservatism and macho-ness that goes way back.
You read about the Spartans, they were all homosexuals, a whole lot of them. And I don't think anyone would suggest for a second that the 500 Spartans fighting against the Persian army were not pretty macho.
But introducing openly gay troops into gung-ho U.S. combat units could be difficult. That David Santos, the Arabic interpreter, was gay was no secret at his home base in Georgia. But he went back into the closet when he was assigned to a combat unit of Marines in Fallujah.
When it comes to those kind of places, there's a lot of homophobic remarks made, but
like what?
Never directed at me.
Can you say it on television?
Just anything that a high schooler would say negatively about a homosexual.
But the words weren't directed at you.
No.
Because you were in the closet at that point.
Yes, ma'am.
But you heard it around you.
Oh, yes, ma'am. It was all over the place.
Are you guys being a little naive? I mean, there is hostility. David's the only one of you who's admitted it so far, but there is.
I never experienced the hostility for the most
but
part.
You know it's there.
Sure, it's there. But there's also still sexism in the Army. There's still racism in the Army. It still exists, but you have harassment policies to cover that.
Harassment policies notwithstanding, Steve the submariner, Brian the Marine, and Jared the Army linguist did not re-enlist because of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, like an estimated 4,000 other gay soldiers a year. After David was caught chatting about being gay on a government computer, he was discharged.
So how's the campaign going?
But Congressman Duncan Hunter says, with the Pentagon starting to meet its recruiting goals, now is not the time for change.
Would we risk doing away with this system that works, where American families sit around the dinner table and they make a decision that their young man or young woman is going to go into this military because they share the values of that military? Or should we experiment at a time when our military is totally volunteer, when it's extremely capable, and perhaps lose that capability, or perhaps lose those numbers, perhaps lose those re-enlistments, and perhaps lose that effectiveness?
Wait a second. In 2006, the Army, the only way they could meet their recruiting standards was to give waivers and allow convicted felons, lower mental standards, lower physical standards, were given twice the number to enlist of bonuses financially, 3 times to re-enlist. Thousands of gay people go out the door voluntarily. People like me. I'm gone, never to come back. You spent $2 million training me to fly airplanes. Thank you very much. And what do you get for all this? What do we get as a country because we've thrown out an Arabic linguist or because we've thrown out a medic? Are we any safer? Are we any more secure?
Army medic Darren Manzella says he thinks he will probably be discharged now because of the interview with us.